There comes a moment when everything inside you says, stop. Your body is tired, your mind is heavy, and the easiest choice is to quit. Most people listen. They slow down, they step back, they disappear into comfort. But not Miyamoto Musashi. He understood something deeper, something most will never realize. That moment when you want to give up is not the end. It is the beginning of a different version of you, one that doesn't break, one that doesn't run, one that keeps moving, even in silence. Because true endurance is not loud, it is calm, it is controlled, it is relentless. And if you can stay just a little longer than everyone else, endure just one step more, then slowly, quietly, you become unstoppable.
Endurance is often misunderstood. People think it's about strength, about pushing harder, about never feeling pain. But the truth is much quieter than that. Endurance begins the moment you want to stop. Not when you're strong, not when you're motivated, but when everything inside you is asking for rest. That is where the real test begins. Miyamoto Musashi understood this deeply. He knew that the body has limits, but the mind creates them first. Long before your muscles fail, your thoughts start negotiating. Maybe this is enough. Maybe I've done my part. Maybe I should stop. And most people listen, not because they are weak, but because they have never trained their mind to stay, to remain present inside discomfort, to keep moving without panic. Musashi was different. He didn't fight pain. He didn't resist fatigue. He observed it, accepted it, and continued forward, calmly, because he understood something powerful. Pain is temporary. Discomfort is a signal, not a command. You don't have to obey it. And when you stop obeying it, you begin to discover a deeper layer of yourself, a version that is not controlled by feelings, but guided by purpose. This is the truth about endurance. It is not about how far you can go when it's easy, but how long you can stay when it's hard. It is not explosive. It is not dramatic. It is quiet, a decision made again and again and again to continue, even when no one is watching, even when nothing feels rewarding, even when progress is invisible, because that is where transformation happens, not in comfort, but in the silent moment when you choose not to stop.
There is a line, an invisible line, that most people never cross. It appears the moment things become difficult, when the body slows down, when the breath gets heavier, when the mind begins to whisper, "This is enough." And almost everyone stops there. They believe they've reached their limit. But that line is not your limit. It is your comfort trying to protect you. Miyamoto Musashi lived on the other side of that line. He did not train until he was tired. He trained until tiredness no longer controlled him, because he understood something most people avoid. If you only train when it feels good, you will fail when it matters most. So he made training harder than the battle itself. Long hours, endless repetition, no shortcuts. Not to prove strength to others, but to build something unshakable within himself. Think about it. When life becomes difficult, you don't rise to your expectations, you fall to your level of training. If your training is easy, your response will be weak. But if your training is relentless, your mind becomes steady, even in chaos. Musashi didn't rely on motivation. He relied on habit, a quiet, consistent commitment to show up no matter how he felt. Because feelings are unstable. Some days you feel strong, some days you feel nothing. But discipline does not change. And over time, discipline becomes identity. There is a moment in every struggle when your body says stop. But if you stay just a little longer, you will discover something unexpected. A second energy, a deeper strength, a part of you that only appears when everything else is exhausted. Most people never meet that version of themselves because they leave too early. Training beyond limits is not about destroying yourself. It is about expanding your capacity, step by step, day by day, pushing just past what feels comfortable, again and again and again. Until what was once hard becomes normal, and what was once impossible becomes effortless. Musashi didn't become undefeated because he was born different. He became different because he refused to stay the same. Every day he asked himself, "Where is my edge?" And then he moved beyond it. So the next time you feel that line, when everything inside you says, "This is enough," pause, breathe, and take one more step. Not for the result, not for recognition, but to prove to yourself that your limits are not real. Because the truth is, your greatest strength is waiting just beyond the point where you usually stop. Before the body gives up, the mind already has. It happens quietly. A small voice, soft, reasonable, almost comforting. Slow down. You've done enough. You can stop now. It doesn't shout. It doesn't force you. It simply suggests. And most people follow it. But Miyamoto Musashi saw this voice for what it truly is. Not truth, not wisdom, but habit. A pattern built over time to avoid discomfort, to protect energy, to stay within what feels safe. And if you never question it, it becomes your master. Control of the mind does not mean silencing that voice. It means not obeying it automatically. It means creating a space between the feeling and the action, a moment where you choose. And what was once impossible becomes effortless. Musashi didn't become undefeated because he was born different. He became different because he refused to stay the same. Every day he asked himself, "Where is my edge?" And then he moved beyond it. So the next time you feel that line, when everything inside you says, "This is enough," pause, breathe, and take one more step. Not for the result, not for recognition, but to prove to yourself that your limits are not real. Because the truth is, your greatest strength is waiting just beyond the point where you usually stop. Before the body gives up, the mind already has. It happens quietly. A small voice, soft, reasonable, almost comforting. Slow down. You've done enough. You can stop now. It doesn't shout. It doesn't force you. It simply suggests. And most people follow it. But Miyamoto Musashi saw this voice for what it truly is. Not truth, not wisdom, but habit. A pattern built over time to avoid discomfort, to protect energy, to stay within what feels safe. And if you never question it, it becomes your master. Control of the mind does not mean silencing that voice. It means not obeying it automatically. It means creating a space between the feeling and the action, a moment where you choose. When fatigue appears, most people react. They slow down, they withdraw, they escape. But Musashi did something different. He observed. He noticed the discomfort without becoming it. He felt the pain without giving it control. And in that space, he decided to continue, calmly, without anger, without panic, just forward. This is the discipline of awareness, to see your thoughts without being ruled by them, to feel your emotions without surrendering to them. Because once you realize that your thoughts are not commands, you become free. There is a powerful shift that happens in this moment. When you stop saying, "I am tired," and start seeing, "My body feels tired, but I can still choose." That distance changes everything.
Musashi trained this relentlessly, not just in battle, but in everyday life. Walking, practicing, living in solitude. He sharpened his awareness like a blade. Because he knew, if you cannot control your mind in silence, you will not control it in chaos. And when the pressure rises, when the moment becomes intense, you don't have time to think. You become what you have trained. If your mind is reactive, you will panic. If your mind is disciplined, you will remain still. Control is not force. It is not aggression. It is quiet power, the ability to remain steady when everything inside you wants to break. The ability to continue without needing motivation. The ability to act without hesitation, without doubt. So the next time that voice appears, don't fight it, don't fear it. Just notice it, let it speak, and then choose your own direction. Because in the end, your life is not controlled by your circumstances. It is controlled by what you choose to follow. And when you learn to control the mind, you no longer react to the world. You move through it with purpose, with clarity, with power.
Suffering is the one thing everyone tries to avoid. We run from it. We hide from it. We distract ourselves just to not feel it. Comfort has become the goal, an easy life, a smooth path, a place where nothing hurts. But that path leads nowhere. Miyamoto Musashi chose a different way. He did not run from suffering, he walked into it. Not because he enjoyed pain, but because he understood its value. Suffering is a teacher, a silent one. It doesn't speak with words, but it reveals truth. When you are tired, you see your limits. When you are alone, you meet your thoughts. When you are in pain, you discover your strength. Most people only know themselves in comfort, but comfort hides weakness. It keeps you soft, dependent, unprepared. And when life becomes difficult, you break.
Musashi refused that life. He trained in the cold. He lived with uncertainty. He embraced solitude. Not as punishment, but as preparation. Because he knew, the more you avoid suffering, the weaker you become. The more you accept it, the stronger you grow. There is a shift that happens when you stop resisting pain. When you no longer say, "Why is this happening to me?" and instead ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" In that moment, suffering loses its power over you. It becomes a tool, a way to sharpen your mind and harden your spirit. But understand this clearly. Embracing suffering does not mean destroying yourself. It means choosing growth over comfort, choosing discipline over ease, choosing truth over illusion. Because the reality is, life will bring difficulty, whether you are ready or not. Pain is unavoidable, but weakness is a choice. So when the hard moments come, and they will, don't run, don't hide, stand still, breathe, and step forward into the discomfort. Because on the other side of suffering is a version of you that most people will never meet. Stronger, calmer, unbreakable. And once you understand this, you no longer fear pain. You use it. You grow from it. You become because of it.
Motivation is fleeting. It comes in waves. Some days it lifts you, other days it abandons you. Most people wait for motivation. They wait for the fire, the excitement, the perfect moment, and most of the time they wait forever. Miyamoto Musashi did not wait. He did not rely on feeling inspired. He relied on discipline, on showing up again and again, rain or shine, hunger or fatigue, victory or failure. He trained, he practiced, he lived his path every single day. Consistency builds a foundation motivation can never create. Motivation is a spark. Consistency is the fire that never dies. One day you will not feel like it. You will want to quit. You will look for excuses. But if you have built the habit, if you have shown up despite resistance, you will continue anyway. And that is where true power comes from, not from how you start, but from how you refuse to stop.
So remember this. Don't wait for motivation. Forge consistency. Build your identity around showing up every day, no matter what. Because success, mastery, strength belong to those who endure beyond feelings. The quiet power of showing up again and again is unstoppable.
Listen closely. The difference between the ordinary and the unstoppable is not talent, not luck, not even strength. It is endurance, discipline, the quiet courage to continue when everything inside you screams to stop. Miyamoto Musashi knew this. He did not become undefeated because battles were easy. He became undefeated because he mastered himself. Your body will tire, your mind will resist, life will push you down. But the one who endures, the one who refuses to quit, is the one who rises above. Step forward, push past the limit, control your mind, embrace discomfort, show up consistently, because greatness is not given, it is earned, one relentless step at a time. If you want to walk the path of true mastery, to train like Miyamoto Musashi, subscribe now. Show up every day. Push past your limits. Control your mind. Embrace the struggle. Transform your life, one relentless step at a time. The journey starts now. Are you ready?